Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first inaugural Golf Strong podcast. This is a super exciting day for both Tim and I. I'm going to let him introduce himself. We'll talk a little bit about what this Golf Strong project is and what this podcast is going to be about. And then we're going to have a little discussion on where golf performance is, and where it's going, and how we're going to change the game a little bit. So please introduce yourself, Mr. Dr. Tim Ravoto.
My pleasure. Welcome. Excited to be here. So, I'm Tim Ravoto. I'm a physical therapist up here in Boston, Mass. Born and raised up here. And I recently opened up a golf-centered physical therapy and performance business, I guess you could call it, practice. I have been playing golf since I was young. I learned, the typical junior golf growing up on a country club, and had the privilege of playing there with a course 5 minutes down the road. And took the usual gap in high school sports, basketball, running, playing tennis. Ran a little bit of cross country, track and field, distance stuff in college, and then got out of college and found golf again, trying to be just competitive, have fun with the friends, and do that sort of thing. So after school, went down to University of Richmond, came back up to Boston, got my doctorate in physical therapy here at the MGH Institute, and then since then kind of bounced around. So I've worked in a hospital, worked in an outpatient physical therapy practice, kind of your normal, people get injured, come in, see you, do some exercise, and then send them back out into the world. And now doing the private thing, just seeing my own people, mostly golfers, and really just, as we've talked about, forming this Golf Strong podcast and Golf Strong project, just trying to help make training normal with golfers. Because I think I see a lot of people at least, that play golf as their primary means of exercise. So I'm trying to help golfers figure out, stuff they can do in the gym during the week to be healthier, be less pain, and just move better, play better golf.
It's going to be really annoying to think that there's going to be two New England guys on a podcast.
I know a lot of, well, you're not a masshole, but I've got a lot of masshole energy. So
no, us from Maine are called maniacs. So
yes,
maniac masshole energy. I don't think the world might not be ready for that. But yes, so that ties into who the hell am I? I am from the great state of Maine, as I just said, just outside of Portland, Maine is where I call home. Grew up in a small town called Windham, Maine. Beautiful little, I don't want to call it Nowheresville, but Maine is, I went to a football camp once and people didn't know that Maine was a state. So I don't know if that's more telling about the state of Maine or the state of education in the country, but that's a topic for a different day. Much like Tim, played every sport in high school, played football, played basketball, played baseball, ran track and field, did the whole bit, and, loved it, and ended up playing college football. I went to Wesleyan University and played college football up in Middletown, Connecticut. Shout out to the NESCAC for any people that may watch this. After that, my decision was that I wanted to go to PT school. Just like Tim, been involved in sports, been involved around people with injuries, and one of the natural things that you do is you're like, yeah, I'll go to PT school. It sounds fun. So I decided to go to PT school. I went to the University of St. Augustine down in St. Augustine, Florida. That is where I now live, is actually just north of that in Jacksonville, Florida. Now I actually work inside of Sawgrass Country Club, which is across the street from TPC Sawgrass, and I'm a physical therapist over there. And just like Tim, I run performance coaching platform for golfers. So, we kind of got into this for a lot of reasons, but I didn't pick up golf until, I don't even think I've told you this, till it was grad school. I think it was like 2017 or 2016. The guy that I was living with at the time, awesome dude, dentist, let me live at his house. He was a G. had a spare set of golf clubs downstairs, and my boys were like, "Hey, why don't we go play golf?" I'm like, "I've never played golf. I don't even know what is golf. What is this peasant sport you speak of?"
Watch yourself. Watch yourself.
Hey, I can't say. I mean, it is what it is. So we went out and played, and I loved it. But I never really played it. I mean, I've competed in, football. Obviously, I competed in powerlifting. I've competed in weightlifting. I have a pretty extensive performance career, I guess, if you want to call it that. I've owned a training company since 2010, so I've worked with athletes in every field and every realm, from young to old. And golf kind of came in late, but Tim and I actually connected through a business venture separate of this, a business coaching venture that we were both in. And we started talking about some of the issues that we've had and some of the loopholes or the things we don't like about the golf world, specifically as it pertains to performance. And we kind of got talking, and, one day I sent him a message and he sent me back those big googly eyes like, "Hey, do you want to do something cool?" And we just decided we were, and that's really where we are now. So this Golf Strong project, as we've called it so far, and this podcast is really going to be aimed at giving you golfers that watch this the right information, research-based information, and understanding how to get around the gimmicks and the nonsense. This is going to be about how to get stronger, how to eat well, the performance parameters for golfers, how much endurance do you need? And then we're going to dive into stuff like pain. We're going to talk about, hey, you've got a rotator cuff tear. Can you play golf? You've got arthritis. What does that mean? We're going to go from all things rehab and performance. And that's going to be what this really discusses, because, we're ready to change the game and really give people the right information. So, Tim, I don't know if you have any more to elaborate on that, but, let the people know.
Yeah, no, I think the only thing to add is I think we also plan to just bring a little bit of a mindset angle and just general lifestyle angle where, I think golf is a game that really mimics life more than any other. There's the struggle, there are the ups and downs. You've got to deal with some adversity out there. And so I think we're also going to talk a little bit about, just how to be a better person, better husband, better, father, just better in all your relationships off the golf course as well.
Amen to all of the above. Yeah, the goal of this is really to give all of you I'll call it a holistic view, but a complete package of not only what it takes to be great on and off the golf course, but in life. Not that Tim and I are experts in any of these things, but we work with people every day. We're involved in rehab and strength training and seeing people go from the bottom of the bottom to the top of the top. Trying to rap. Me and Jay-Z are about to get a new album. Give me a call, Hova. All right. So, Tim, what are we talking about for episode 1?
Yeah. So today I think we're going to just kind of lay the foundation for where golf performance, or we've talked a little bit about this, but golf fitness as it's referred to commonly, which I think I can speak for both of us when I say not a great term or a term that we're fans of, but where, training and exercise and golf performance has come from, where it started, where it currently is, and then, where we see it going in the future to optimize everything that you just mentioned as far as performance on the golf course and off.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start with a little bit of kind of some history of golf performance is where we'll start, kind of where we've come from. So in terms of sports, golf seems to kind of be the last guy in line for performance training to really come. Shoot, you've got like curling in the Olympics and throwing darts, and these people have like very specific training regimens. And I remember looking up a YouTube video of like curling workouts, and they're like getting after it in the gym. And golfers aren't doing this. What the hell is going on? So, historically, it wasn't really pushed to get in the weight room. You've got football, you've got basketball, you've got even a lot of those sports, a huge push to get in the gym. obviously we can all think back to Michael Jordan when they were like, you were working out the same day you went and played ball. That's pretty awesome. And all of a sudden we've seen this huge, not that he was the spur, but no different than Tiger Woods. He enters the scene and all of a sudden, working out thing. But we never really had that in the past. People never pushed it. It was this kind of, there might be one trailer at the course and somebody might be in there with a glass of scotch, a cigarette, and talking about how they're going to go to the first tee and have themselves a good time today. It just wasn't, the performance side of golf wasn't really there. And you could argue that some of that is similar to how we change the swing over time. So if you look at the history of kind of golf swings, it was, hey, that guy's successful, they're winning. What are they doing with their swing? Let's emulate that and just push it forward. And so that we didn't have all this 3D data and force plates and all of the craziness that we have today. It just wasn't pushed. It wasn't as big of a deal. So nobody really cared about it. And so historically, it just wasn't a big deal. And now, today, obviously that has changed, but if we think on the past, a lot of it was just, we don't want to affect your swing. If we hurt your swing, that's bad. And then that's changed to some worse things today that we'll talk about. But, Tim, do you feel like there's more beyond the fact that it just didn't exist? Was there a stigma around that historically?
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it with a broad brush. You have, one of the pictures I love is it's definitely Arnold Palmer. I can't remember who he's standing next. It might, I can't exactly remember who it is. It might be Ben Hogan, but they're both standing on the tee box waiting to tee off, and they're smoking a cigarette, just out there having a good time. And now you see in the pre-round coverage, guys in the gym working out together and talking to each other over deadlifts and things like that. So I think back then, it just wasn't known. You had Gary Player was doing some of that stuff, right? He always, but he still did golf specific stuff. He always has swung. He said since he's a right-handed player, he's going to take 1,000 swings left-handed every day to balance out his spine, whatever that means, right? And then you've got guys like Greg Norman who have always kept themselves in good shape through like the 80s and the 90s. Jack Nicklaus even was doing a little bit of exercise in like the mid 80s, and I know guys like Johnny Miller were kind of looking at Jack like, why the hell are you doing that stuff?
Right.
But yeah, I think back then it was a little bit of a stigma, where they were nervous of gaining weight and that impacting their flexibility, their mobility, that sort of thing. They were worried about hurting themselves in the gym and not being able to play because, if we're being realistic, these guys back in the 70s and 80s didn't make a ton of money, right? They were playing for nowhere near what they make today. They would probably die on the spot if they knew, you could win the US Open and make $2.2 million. So, I just think there was a lot of fear around it. And like you said, the technique, similar to kind of the rehab world, the technique-based and swing-based coaching has always been Arnold Palmer does this move in his downswing, so you should too if you want to be a good golfer. This is Ben Hogan taught me how to play the game, and he always harped on these 3 things, so you've got to do these 3 things no matter what.
They smoked a pack a day. I got to smoke a pack a day.
Precisely.
That's all there is to it. So I guess that kind of, it begs the question of, it's actually, a point I want to bring up. Do you ever see those pictures of the cyclists that were smoking? I don't know if it's like the Tour de France or it's like that old picture, but it's people cycling and they all have cigarettes in their mouth.
No,
it's like the 40s or 50s, but it's just like this picture of these guys smoking cigs all on their bicycles. Like it was just such a normal part of culture at the time that those things were around. Nobody, like you talked about, people cared about fitness, but they didn't really care about fitness. It was just one of those things where, I go to the gym and maybe I try to look good and that's about it. Now look at the difference between Phil Mickelson a few years ago to today. Even look at Greg Norman.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
he's a pretty yoked dude. Gary Player looks the best of that whole crew right now. Even if their exercises were in an ill-advised direction, you could say they were still moving, they were still doing things. And so obviously the game has changed now. So let's talk a little bit about where golf performance is today. What has been the biggest changes you think about where we went from, golf performance, lifting, who gives a shit, to where we are today, where that has changed pretty drastically. You've got guys like Rory and Justin Thomas getting after it in the weight room. Justin Thomas, I mean, you've got people that are really working on, they're in the gym a lot. And that's a big part of their year, and their nutrition is important. You've got that picture like Rory. Is it Rory and Becca? They both have like a banana in their hand.
Yeah, exactly. A bottle of water and a banana. Yeah.
Yeah. So where are we today? What is the place of performance in the golf world today?
Yeah, so I think Tiger definitely moved things along, and then I think with his success, people went from their old school mind of, all right, well, Tiger's doing it, I got to do something. And I think where we find ourselves now is pretty much with the Titleist Performance Institute, right? So if you look at the top 50 golfers on the world ranking, right around 40 of them work with some sort of a Titleist Performance Institute certified either trainer or chiropractor or physical therapist, right? They've kind of really, they've really taken over the industry, but I wouldn't even say taken over. They've pretty much established the golf training industry as we know it right now, for better or for worse. We can get into that later. But that's basically what it is. And they started back in 2003 with, Greg Rose, who's a chiropractor by trade. And, I've gone through 2 levels of their training. So they've got good stuff, they've got bad stuff, but essentially he started it out as, I love golf, I'm a chiropractor. How do I spend the most time with golfers and the most time out on the golf course? And so he established, this movement screen and started working with the 3D analytics, and paired himself up with Dave Phillips, who's one of the leading swing coaches these days. He's John Rahm's coach, and worked with John Rahm since he was, I think, 15 or 16. So, they are kind of the gold standard, I would say, in the golf fitness world. Do you see any other leading parties or companies in that space?
No, I think there's a lot of people that have gotten into the space, which I think is kind of a part of the issue that we see today. So just like anything else, there's very few good voices and there's a lot of bad actors, just like anything else, just like any other sport. There's plenty of people that are we in the rehab world, we see so much crap, just stuff that doesn't work, stuff that has no research behind it, stuff that's honestly, people are just scamming you for your money for stuff that has no proof of working. And unfortunately, that makes its way into every industry, and golf's no different. So one of the things that we've seen historically and still today is the fact that good golf performance has to look like the golf swing. And so we see all of these different things where you're holding a heavy dumbbell and swinging it like you'd swing your golf club. You're seeing people do certain medicine ball. I mean, the biggest thing, which I posted about today and tagged you in, is the stability ball training or the Bosu ball training or being on unstable surfaces and using all of that. Like, it's, for some reason, the golf world has wrapped its head around the fact that if an exercise doesn't just have to be hard, it needs to be complex and hard. And right. That to them makes it seem like, oh, this is going to transfer the best. I see people in the gym at the clinic I'm at all the time doing these random golf exercises that they see on Golf Digest. I mean, not too long ago, was on the front of Golf Digest, like standing on top of a Bosu ball or something?
Yeah, it was doing, I think it was doing squats on a Bosu ball on a Bosu ball and shoulder presses at the same time. So it's got to be better because you're working 4 things at the same time, right? So it's got to be good.
Yeah, it's really amazing. But that's kind of, there is a lot of good info out there today. And, on this podcast, not this one, but more in the future, we're going to talk a lot about what the key tenets are for golfers, how to address power, how to address strength, what your mobility should look like, and get away from the gimmicky stuff. So as you can probably tell, there is of no use to you doing nonsense on surfaces. No, your training does not have to look like the golf swing. It's not how all this stuff works. And so that is still really a prevailing idea today. I think there are a good small group of strength coaches, PTs, healthcare providers that are really starting to try and change that game, including the two of us. That's why we started this, was to really give out more good information. But that's one of the other things that's a trick, is the data aspect. We have so much data today. We've got 3D analytics, we've got force plates, we've got biomechanical things showing how much you're twisting and rotating, and everything is so specific. I mean, we're looking at the golf swing alone, and okay, well, you're 15 degrees too open here and you're rotating it. It's just information overload. And sometimes that can be bad. And I think in the case of golf, oftentimes it is. I mean, I see guys every week who are just talking about, oh, well, I made another tweak to my swing and I'm working on it this week, and I made another tweak to my swing and I'm doing it this week. And, I'm working on this in the gym so that I can fix my slice. And it's just this never ending thing. And you're not actually working in a positive direction. Like, you fix something and then you go break something else. And then you work on this new exercise. Like, there's just the golf course are able to be separate. And right now I'm seeing them intermingle too much. And there's just too much crap in the world that people are looking at and seeing, going, oh, I have to do that to be better at golf. So as much as we've made progress and we have good info and good research today, even though the golf world is still lacking, we're still kind of killing ourselves with too much data. And so, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but it just seems like there's so much junk available for people now.
Yeah, there's a lot of complicated stuff. And then there's a lot of, I guess you'd call it just maybe like ADD, like gym ADD, where every time you're going into the gym, you're doing something different. And then this week I have a new exercise, and next week I have this new exercise. So you never quite get the amount of time, the focus, the practice to actually make improvements in certain areas, Like, I think the thing we hear from golfers most is, oh, my hips or my hamstrings are tight. Well, have you spent have you actually dedicated time, and by time talking like 3 to 6 months, to address that? Or are you just one day a week you do something, or 5 minutes before your round you're trying to do something to loosen up? That's just not going to cut it. So I think the complex side of things is one, and then the fluttering from exercise to exercise is another. So I know we'll get into that later on, as far as how to get stronger, how to get more powerful, how to get more flexible. But I'd say that's the other big thing, is just so much information that people try to address all at once. It's like, you just need that focus, man. What's your goal for this next 3 weeks or next 4 weeks? And let's really get after it. And then let's go for something else once that's established.
Well, never mind the continuing existence that people are, if I work out, I don't want to bend over because it's going to hurt my back. We'll probably devote an entire podcast just to talking about that. But there still is a lot of that misinformation about what the gym does for performance. The fact that, hey, you can do a hinge, AKA some kind of deadlift variation, and that's for you to do. You should do something like that, versus I don't want to do that, it's going to hurt my back, and if I hurt my back I can't play golf. And we still have so much of that misconception in the world about what training actually does, the safety of training, and how to actually make it work for you. So, like we had just talked about, although we have made great strides from we weren't doing any exercise to now we've at least got people doing stuff. The problem is that we're doing a lot of useful or useless stuff, and it's really not very focused. There's just too much information and people don't know what to do with it. And so let's kind of get ready here, or let's talk about what the future of that looks like. Let's really kind of dive into, what do we want golf performance to look like in 10 years, 5 years for that matter, because it's making changes all the time. but I know that we have a vision for what we would like it to be. But kind of, if you, in 5 years, wave a magic wand, what does the golf performance industry look like?
That's a big question. Big Cheers. Question. So I think ideally it looks like, if you walk into a college football training session, for example, and you see barbells out, dumbbells out, you see guys, with either, I don't know even what they use these days. When I was in high school and college, we had like the paper chart and we were going through our list, and you had the next 6 weeks planned out, and you're looking at, okay, I squatted 150 last week, so this week I'm going to try to get 160, and you're tracking your results week to week. You're doing some sort of, periodized program where you're, in your off season, you're doing a certain focus, and in season, in the golf season, where you're maybe playing 3 or 4 times a week, you're doing something else. I think that would be the ideal.
That would be awesome.
Less bands, less physio balls, less BOSU balls, less crazy just jumping around to jump around. And just more focus.
Well, let's think of it like this. You just mentioned other sports, right? So football, I played football in college. And obviously in high school, same thing. We had specific things that we were doing, and they were designed for us. It was for football players. It was for basketball players. So at the very least today, at least we have some coaches doing programming. Now you have all these different things that you can go to and program for, but now it needs to become more mainstream. Like I think of it with high school athletes. These kids come in the gym and they just have no aim. They have no idea where they're going. Unless your high school has a good strength coach, or it's like a big private school that has a strength coach, you just don't know what you're supposed to be doing. But every other sport, those kids are getting training ASAP, like beginning. I mean, when I was, 10, 12 years old, like I went and saw a trainer, and we were working on speed and agility for football. And that was just like a part of life. I don't see youth golf athletes doing that. I would love to see a bigger investment in youth performance, youth resistance training, which has always had this weird stigma around it, which I'm sure at some point will break down. But like kids need to learn how to lift, move their bodies, go through different positions, and understand that is safe and efficacious. But I agree. I want to see it with where people have their program, they know what they're doing. And beyond that, I would love, we're gonna go on a rant here. I would love to see the word fitness taken away from golf. It's not football fitness. It's not basketball fitness. It's not I'm tennis fit. You're athletes. Golfers are athletes too, right? I'm gonna go bring the stakes to the front of the Masters or something, and just golfers are athletes too. I'm just gonna be hooting and hollering. But it's true. Golfers are athletes. You are power athletes. The greatest comparison you can make is between track and field athletes and field athletes and golfers. Throwing a shot put, throwing a javelin, high jumping, sprinting. Golfers are power athletes. You're producing a super fast swing every few minutes, right? No different than a lot of these track and field athletes, right? You're a power athlete. You are an athlete, and you need to train as such. It would be crazy to us to think that, hey, you're going to get better at throwing the shot put by never going to the gym and only throwing the shot put. Sure, could you get better at it? Yeah, you could. But are you really building the best physical body you can? Are you the strongest? Are you developing power outside it? Are you doing other movements that may help mitigate some injuries? It would be so silly for us to think that. It's like, yeah, I'm going to the Olympics, but I don't really train. You don't really see many of those people. The guy that we just saw, guy from Boring, Oregon, who just broke the world record by 8 inches?
Oh yeah.
In the shot.
Huge.
Right. Monster. Like that is 6 miles in that's like the 1 mile record being broken by like a minute. Like that's just an outrageous change. But that guy trains all year round. He's in the weight room, he's recovering, right? Golf, for some reason, we just haven't gotten there yet. And I want to see it where golfers are getting in the gym as a way to augment what they do on the course. right? And we're going to talk at some point too about practice and what that looks like, because I think practice in the golf world is completely misunderstood. Banging 100 balls at the golf range, which you and I see all the time, is a waste of time. You're not doing anything for the most part, unless you're a complete novice, for your golf game. And so I want to see the world of golf performance look like other sports, but even better, where we're following what the research says. We're doing what's in the best interest of the golfer, and we get rid of the gimmicks. I'm big on the gimmicks. Bother me. I'm done ranting. Man. I went on my rant.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think my favorite quote from Patrick Reed, who I'm not a huge fan of, but that's okay. He's a great golfer. He's said multiple times on the record that when asked, hey, do you, a lot of these guys are in the gym. Are you in the gym these days? And he says, no, I've never set foot in the gym because you can't wear cowboy boots in there. And I think he's in the minority now, but I hope one day that's not even a consideration. It's like, of course I've been in the gym, because in order to make it to this point, I had to put in work and, to fine tune my body and work on my body,
I'll take his bunker game any day of the week though.
Hey, that short game is mint.
I'll take it, because never mind. I won't even go into my bunker play. We'll save that for another day. But an important point to reach out to there, or to point out there, is that we cannot compare ourselves to PGA golfers, right? You're talking about the best of the best, some genetic freaks in a lot of ways that have worked super hard. They've been on golf courses for a long time, right? It's just a different animal, right? And something to also remember is that it's not just about improving what you do on the golf course. Yes, that is super important. We want you to lower your scores. We want you to hit bombs, play forever. Longevity in golf is the number one thing I tell people about. I want you to play golf today, tomorrow, until you're 95. I've got a couple patients right now that are in their 90s still playing golf, and it's just badass. They're just cool people. But also, we're getting in the gym for your health. If you want to play a long time, you've got to get in the gym. You've got to be hitting at least the general physical activity guidelines. 20%, I think, of the world, or maybe it's of America, one of the two, 20% are actually meeting physical activity guidelines. 20%. It's unbelievable to me. So not only do I want to see golf performance change in terms of we're optimizing the gym to perform better on the course. That's obviously great. But I want to see performance change for the general population, for the 99% of people that are amateurs, who you need to optimize your life. You want to mitigate injuries. You want to get stronger. The stronger you are, the less problems you tend to have mentally, physically, just in life. And so if we can get you training, get you stronger, get you mentally just with it, it makes such a difference in your life. Lower your blood pressure, work on your body composition. We're doing all of those things with the goal that not only can you play golf forever, but maybe you're going to optimize your life. I mean, Tim can attest to, we see a lot of people that can't even get up out of a chair. Never mind if they fall, right? And those are extreme examples, but you'd be amazed at how quickly people can go downhill when they just stop exercising, right? And so I want to see the golf world as a whole, not just that small that is the PGA, which is already doing a lot of training. We just want to see the training be maybe a little bit more research-based and no nonsense. But we want to see the global population of golfers, which keeps going up and up, which is awesome, doing good stuff, being healthy, being stronger, playing better golf. All of that, those aren't mutually exclusive things. So 5 years, that's what I want to see. I want to see people getting after it. I want to see people coming and being like, hey, can you teach me how to back squat? I want to learn how to deadlift. Oh, but you're not a dainty golfer? You're not a little baby dainty golfer? No, I want to be strong. I think that'll be the coolest thing to me, which I think is happening. I think it can happen for good.
Oh, it's definitely happening. And you just spurred a thought in my mind. Do you guys have the red handicap cart flags on the carts down in Florida?
Yeah.
So we've got a bunch of guys at our course, and it's pretty hilly, so I'll give it to them. But you're out playing golf, right? So you're making these powerful, quick swings, relatively, if you're 80 years old, And some of these people are driving literally up to the green, 5 yards off the green, so that they can minimize how much they're walking. They can't walk 25 feet from the cart path to the green. They have to walk 5 feet from the edge to wherever their ball is. I mean, I think that would be a goal of mine as well, is just get rid of that crazy stuff. If you can't walk 30 feet, in my opinion, you shouldn't be out there, man. You gotta take your health seriously.
Yeah. And to that end, I tell golfers that I see that are starting to get to that point where it's like, I can't walk very far. I'm like, okay, so you have two options. Keep working hard in the gym. Like, we can really get you cranking. Maybe you're going to have to cut from 3 days of golf to 2 days of golf, or maybe to 1 day of golf. But are we doing all the things to make sure that you are still playing? A lot of times you just see people throw in the towel, and that bothers me. I had a guy I had to convince, this is a couple of months ago now, he's using a walker because his balance, he's got some neurological stuff going on, but he's on a walker. And I said, hey, he's like, yeah, I don't want to play golf because I'm cumbersome to people. And I said, have the guys you play with told you that? He's like, no, they're always telling me that I should come play. And I'm like, so why are you stopping? It's like, well, I don't want to be a drain. And I'm like, you're missing the point. When you stop moving, you start dying. So I don't know if that was too harsh for him or not, but he got the point. He's been playing golf ever since. But the point of that is, if you're still trying, like you're still trying to get out there, we'll find ways for you to do it. I don't have time for people, though, that are just like playing and doing nothing to optimize their lifestyle and then being like, yeah, I'm done. Okay, that's fine. You're not trying to get healthier. You're not trying to play longer. You're not doing anything. But when I see the guy come in who's like, hey, I want to be off this walker. I want to go play golf again. And they really want to, not like the words. You hear the fake words all the time because the effort is hard. But when they really come in, they're like, let's do this. It's just friggin' awesome. And now they go out and play. So unless someone takes it away from you, don't. Like, keep going.
100%. Nothing better than someone, ditching the walker, realizing they're not a burden anymore. Just that's what gets me up in the morning for sure.
Absolutely. And we want to see that long term. So to that end, I think we can probably wrap up round one of this shindig. So, biggest takeaways, golf's come a long way. Golf performance has come a long way. We've got all the analytics. We've got all the data. We've got all the bells and whistles. We have all the stuff. It's time to start making that useful and clear up the misconceptions and kind of sift through some of the bullshit that exists and clarify those things so that you can know what to do in the gym, what to do with your nutrition, what to do to recover, what to do about your injuries and your pain and what that means. We're going to have a dope ass podcast on pain. I am stoked for that. And you guys are going to love it. And it's going to change your life. It's probably going to make you a little upset because we're going to say some things you're not going to like. But
yeah, well, we might need like a cowbell or something to cut the rants, like you've gone on for 10 minutes. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, time to stop.
Yeah. We're going to need a lot of cowbell. The only answer to more cowbell is more cowbell. So we're going to talk about all those things. That's going to be a big part of this podcast. Tim and I are, we do the same thing. We work with the same people, and we think it's time that we just be another set of mouths in the industry that are trying to really give people good information. And so, obviously that's the biggest thing. Click the subscribe button wherever the hell it is over here. I'm just going to point arbitrarily. It's over there. Click the bell, click for notifications. We're going to be posting up these podcasts once a week for now. And then moving forward, maybe even more than that as Tim and I get this rolling. But be sure to follow us on social. We're always posting up crazy stuff of us golfing, info on pain, info on how to train, movements you can do, the works. So do that, make it happen. This is the Golf Strong Project, and this is the first podcast. Tim, final words.
That's it. If you're hesitant to get started on any of this, I know I can speak for myself, and I think I can speak for you. Drop us a DM, shoot us a message, drop a comment on the bottom of this video. We'll help you get started.
Get some. Be strong. Play golf, people. We'll see you.
Peace.